Hello, BookTube. We recently did a read aloud on this channel. It wasn't the first, by any means, where I read you a book, the whole text of it, with copious editorial interruptions on my part. I don't just read, it's not an audiobook. I don't just read you the book. I read with interruptions all the time, questions for you, you get questions from me, comedy routines, the whole nine yards. Uh, And I don't know what it was about that last read aloud. We read a lonely Trollope. We read a Trollope that was not part of a series. We read Mr. Scarborough's Family, an 1870s book that Trollope wrote with his waning powers in the last year of his life. And I don't know what it was about that read aloud. I have read better books aloud than that, but something about it really gelled. And not only in me, judging from your emails, it did in you as well. Suddenly, we were having a banjo on Saturday night fun time. and I don't know why exactly. I asked that question at one point in the read aloud, and one of you wrote to me and said, well, it's because, unlike all the other times, this time you have our permission to be reconciled with what you're doing in the read aloud. You were always complaining or apologizing for it before. We want you to talk about this book in addition to reading it. That is part of what makes this so much fun. And maybe that's true. Maybe I was just reconciled to it. Another of you said, actually a few of you said, well, this is teaching. We're having a blast, but you are teaching us this book. I'm never 100% comfortable with that word. I wasn't 100% comfortable with it when I did it and was paid to do it. I don't like the absence of parody there at all, but whatever the reason was, Mr. Scarborough's Family was so much fun that when it was getting close to an end, I immediately put forth feelers for suggestions for what our next book could be, and I got buried in suggestions, bombarded with suggestions about, could we read nonfiction? Could we read history? Could we read a much more famous work of history than, or fiction than Mr. Scarborough's Family? Could we maybe go back to an old favorite? Something that I've read aloud before. A lot of you know that I have no objection at all to repeating myself, none whatsoever. And also, one of you made a suggestion that has been on my mind. I actually brought it up to David Murphy. One of you said, and maybe some of you can weigh in if you have a lot more legal experience than I do. One of you said that, you're worried about copyright. You're stipulating the thing has to be in copyright, that it has to be in common domain. It can't be in copyright. It has to be out of copyright and in common domain for you to be able to read it out loud and in toto. But you don't need to worry about that because you're interrupting every other sentence with editorial commentary, and that is the definition of transformative use. So no one could copyright strike you. The owner of YouTube, of course, could not. They don't know what books are. But the owner of the copyright of a copyrighted book could not strike you for that, because that is not just you transferring the text of the book to some other form. That's awful fascinating. That's awful fascinating. That would open the door, of course, wide open. I mean, I could read anything I want out loud without worrying about the copyright. But I don't know that that's true. I need to ask a whole bunch of other people, and I haven't done that. I asked my lawyer, is it possible that that's true? That I am, I mean, could you watch one of these videos and see, am I transforming this enough so I don't need to worry about copyright? And he's not exactly that kind of lawyer. he said his answer was something along the lines of, if the author you're talking about kills somebody, I'm your guy. He is a rather aggressive Boston trial lawyer, so he wasn't the right person to ask, and I haven't found anybody else to ask. But in the meantime, I want to go back to Trollope. I want us to consort with a lonely Trollope for a few months more, if you don't mind, if you will indulge me. And I found another lonely Trollope. I found it today, and I thought that it was just fate pushing it towards me. We're going far back in time, 20 years earlier than a 20 years younger Trollope than we did for Mr. Scarborough's Family. We're doing The Claverings, which is a novel about a feckless young man who is in love with two women. At one point or another in the book, he's in love with two women. It's about a lot of other things, going on, but there's a love story at the heart of this. Two love stories at the heart of this, much as there was in Mr. Scarborough's Family. Only this was much earlier. Trollope wrote this in 1864, in less than half a year. Just what, 35 pages a week. Just get it done. Can't have a book, good or bad, can't sell it to anybody, Cornhill Magazine or anybody else, if you don't have it written. So get it done. Don't waste any time on it. Just do it. So he wrote it in 1864 and put it in a desk, as he did all the time. His wife always used to say that he's always got another book somewhere. And then in 1866 going over to 1867, he serialized it. So he sat on it, and then he serialized it in Cornhill Magazine, and then in 1867 it came out as a book. So you could call this an 1864 novel, you could call this an 1867 novel, but either way, it's 1864 to 1871. That's a long time. So this is an earlier Trollope that we're dealing with. I don't know how much of a difference it will make. I like to think that when Trollope is at the absolute peak of his form, it doesn't make any difference. But anyway, you're going to love this book. You're just going to love this book. Same as you did Mr. Scarborough's Family. And it's not Phineas Finn or Barchester Towers. It's not a Trollope you're likely to have read, unless you love this author. So that is your overview, and this is your announcement. This is going to be our next read aloud. We're going to read The Claverings by Anthony Trollope, a chapter a day. So I think I will start this tomorrow with just chapter 1. I'm all for it. I just found this edition. It feels like fate is waiting for me to do it. So if I shouldn't start it tomorrow, then let me know. I mean, I'm not giving you any time to get a copy. So should we start in a week? So do you have time to get a copy from the library or Project Gutenberg or whatever? Your library will probably have this. A good library will, and Project Gutenberg, for free out of copyright ebooks, will certainly have this. Oh goodness! Oh goodness! Oh goodness! Oh! Oh! So maybe we shouldn't start tomorrow. That's just me being impetuous. So let me know. Should we start this in a week? Should we say, next Tuesday, next Monday? We'll start off the week on Monday with Trollope. Either way, we're going to consort with Lonely Trollops just one more time. I almost unconditionally promise that the book after this will not be Trollope, except it's so much fun. He is so much fun. But we can find something else after this. So it's the Claverings next time. There are such characters in this book. There are such characters, including one, as usual with Trollope, especially at the height of his powers. The remarkable standout character here is a woman. We got a tiny glimpse of that in Mr. Scarborough's Family. We just got Matilda Thoroughbung, and she wasn't much. She wasn't allowed to be much. But in this book, one of the three main characters is a woman, and she is an amazing creation of Trollope's. But there are lots of others too. Oh my God, it's wonderful. You're going to love it. So let me know if we should give you like a week to find a copy. Or 2 weeks if you want that. There's no hurry, except that I really enjoy the process. But anyway, that's our next read aloud book, is The Clavering. So I will take advice from you as to when, and we will start it all together. Thank you, BookTube.